I think the beauty of life is that life is the guru, right? Um, your life is the best form of apprenticeship you're ever going to get, in the sense that whether you're in partnership or not, it's going to create experiences for you that you're going to resist. And beautiful stuff too, but the growth is, it's like you're having, life will pinpoint and show you exactly what you're supposed to be letting go of. And you know it because you resist it, right? It's like if you resist it all, the higher self does not move into resistance. It surrenders, it stays relaxed, and it keeps its awareness stretched, right? And available. And so, regardless of what moves you into resistance, you're being shown the part of you that isn't residing in an established way within the heart of the soul, or within the higher self, or however you want to articulate that. And because you're in resistance, life is showing you where you're still embodied in a part of yourself that isn't here, right? In a part of yourself that's resisting life, in a part of yourself that wants to control the outside world so that it feels better on the inside. And so if life can move you into resistance, it's just showing you perfectly, with precision and accuracy, exactly where you're supposed to be surrendering and letting go, and replacing that form of contraction and resistance with a pivoted part of your awareness, right? The part of you that's resisting is in contraction. And if it can soften, its awareness can stretch out. And once its awareness is stretched out, there's a gem there. Like there's a pearl of wisdom that lives inside that contracted clamshell. And once that clamshell opens up, it's revealed, right? But it's gotta be opened first, right? And the moment that clamshell is opened, it's vulnerable and it can be eaten. And you have to let yourself be consumed. Let the ego be consumed by life. And if you let it, the life will digest the ego. Because the ego, if it wants to liberate itself, it has to surrender, right? Eventually. And eventually it will. Like eventually it won't be able to hold itself together, right? And so why not start dismantling it now, right? Why not systematically start lovingly walking with it through that process of surrender, right? And if you can get in touch with that part of that eternal part of yourself that remembers that it can't be added to or diminished, it becomes the guide for the ego through that terrain of surrender. And the ego doesn't feel so alone, and actually can eventually get on board with its own dismantling, which that's where it gets really beautiful. It recognizes that it doesn't want to, like the laying down of the sword is really when the ego, it's like the sword isn't taken from the ego. The ego has to lay it down willingly. And that's very difficult to do if life has told you that life isn't trustworthy. Or like you have to lay down the sword despite all that, knowing full well that life will take you eventually, and you just don't want to live defended anymore. And that when you recognize that an undefended heart is its own reward, and that it's not something you're doing to get the reward. When you recognize that it's its own reward, you're really close to the place of liberation. Because there's a freedom that lives in the absence of our defenses. It lives in the heart of vulnerability itself. Because with the absence of all that armor, you can see, and you can feel, and you can move freely in an unrestricted way. And mastery lives in that space of vulnerability.